In 2025, FTI entrance exam become single exam, and these are the various questions which we collected after exam for 3-year program of cinematography at FTII. So compiled from students' recollection during the post-exam discussion with uh, with our coaching program or MCQ program student. So based on the discussion with our student, we have formulated what we believe to be correct answers. While we cannot 100% guarantee the accuracy in terms of exact words of the question as well as the alternatives given, but this version present below are very close to what was asked in the actual exam. So question number 1, what factor is not affected by the focal length of a lens? So correct answer is aspect ratio, because if I shoot with a 100 mm lens, 50 mm lens, and if my ratio is 1:33 on which I'm shooting, it does not affect. Aperture do affect, particularly for still photography lenses where widest opening get changed once you zoom in or zoom out. Field of view also do not affect, and depth of field also do not sorry, a depth of field is affected because once we change the focal length of a lens, depth of field become different, and once we change the focal length from 50 mm to 100 mm, the field of view also get changed. So only factor which do not get changed is aspect ratio. So the correct answer is aspect ratio. High speed car passes perpendicular to your camera lens and you take the shutter speed to 1/4 of a second. What would be the effect? Blur. So it is a slow shutter speed effect. What slow shutter speed do? What does 2K, 4K, 8K means? K stand for resolution. What was the only DP to win the Dadasaheb Phalke Award? It was Mr. VK Murthy. Which of the following is incorrect about the property of light? Property of light needs a medium to travel is the incorrect. Rest is all correct. Reflective, refractive, straight line, they all are correct properties of the light. Logarithmic scale was tricky, so the correct answer was 1, 10, 100, and 1000. I have given the explanation over here. A logarithmic scale is non-linear, and as such, number with equal distances between them is 1, 2, 4, 5 equally spaced. Equally spaced values of the logarithmic scale will have an exponential value like 10, 100, 1000. So it is 10 to the power 1, 10 to the power 2, 3. And similarly, base could be 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 3. So these are the exponential growth curves are often depicted in a logarithmic scale. So this is a tricky question, but important. And it has been asked because if you look at the apertures, how the aperture changes from um on the scale has something to do with that. Chiaroscope Chiaroscuro lighting is associated with the German expressionism. It is a high contrast lighting in which blacks are more richer black and shadows are very deep one, and white is white. So in between grayscale is missing over there. And this particular movement has the films like various films are being made in this particular thing. So this particular German expressionism is the correct answer for this. So again, here the films like Nosferatu and Cabinet of Dr. Caligari were the films which were made in this particular period of German Expressionism. Study of light sensitivity of material is called sensitometry. This is again asked the same question earlier, but in a different manner. Color in the Google Chrome symbol is red, green, blue, and yellow. So 4 is the correct alternative. Why does the sky looks more reddish at the sunset? Because of the scattering of higher wavelength, which is red color, somewhere around 700 nanometer. Your friend is doing a dramatic jump from a tall building. Which would you not do? Which means you will take a picture with a high shutter speed. Yes. Take a higher ISO because it may not be day or it can be night also. So you need a high ISO. Take photograph from low angle. Yes. But you cannot go above the person in a helicopter and take a picture from the top. So it's a common sense question. Which is the color of the flower red in sunlight? Because it reflects the red light and hence the flower look like the red. Rest are not correct options. Who told you the code? If colors are children, black and white is their parents. I'm not 100% sure, but people says it is a Picasso. So this was a difficult question. Bharat Mata is a painting by whom? Rabindranath Tagore is the correct answer. Again, a bit tricky question. According to the property of light, which property does light show to reach the sensor through the lens? So it is a refraction through the lens, and hence the light reaches to the sensor or picture negative. So refraction is the correct answer. Which art movement started before World War II? It is a German expressionism. Source of light was moved away from the subject from 2 feet to 4 feet. Describe the illumination. According to me, uh, because I could not figure it out the correct options, but according to me, the reason should be mentioned over there in an explanation, which uh, if you use the explanation of inverse square law, you will be easily able to identify that. Which is used to measure the intensity of light? Foot candle, lux. So both 1 and 2 are correct one. Which is not an ancient university of India. So Kashi is the correct answer for this. Again, a tricky question. Among the following are the sensor size used in the camera. They all are sensors. So correct answer should be all of the above. IMAX, CCD, CMOS, APC, they all are sensors. Even D is also a sensor over here. I can mention D, IMAX is used by Sony Pictures, Sony company. What are the type of lenses? Odd one out, fisheye, telephoto, prime lenses. They all are cinema lenses. And immersion lens is not a cinema lens, so it is meant for technical and scientific use. Which among them is said to be normal DPI range for digital image? Dot is uh, DPI stand for dot per inch. So correct answer is 300. That's a default setting. What is the main subject in the picture? Image was given over there where there were trunks of the trees were there and the people in the background. So first question is, what is the main subject in the picture? The correct answer is trees. What type of composition is shown in the picture? It was a kind of a symmetrical photograph. So many people felt it is symmetrical, though one or two felt it is a dynamic, but it was a symmetrical according to many students. Since the picture is not clear, so I cannot say. What do you think about the contrast in the picture? It was a high contrast image. From which part of the picture is the light, sunlight is coming? So it was the top left, very easy to answer it. It was also a situation where if you open the aperture, how the depth of field will change. It will become the shallow depth of field. That was the correct answer here. At the sunset time of the day, what is the color temperature? So naturally, 3000 was the minimum mentioned over there. So 3000 is the correct answer. There was a one question connected with back focus or depth of focus. I'm not sure. And one question was also connected with the painting, Vermeer or Rembrandt. So that's how we formulate the 30 MCQs consist of 60 marks. Now again, there were 20 marks, two questions were there. So option number one, analyze the cinematography of any recently watched film. Discuss the following aspect. How light and shadow influence the characters, composition in relation to the characters, camera movement in relation to the characters. So these are various options given under which you need to discuss that. Or how the painting influence filmmaking. Support your answer with example. Explain how elements of painting have been used in the film, such as light and shadow, composition, color palette. So you need to quote a specific example from a particular painting and how that painting was used in a particular film. Let's say Barry Lyndon by Stanley Kubrick used certain kind of painting. So you can quote those examples and you can quote other examples also. There are various films where they have tried to replicate similar kind of effect. So then there's a question number 32. That was a must, and now you have an alternative. There was a poetry given, dangling conversation by Simon and Garfunkel, 25 lines. Visualize the poem and describe how you would represent its theme and emotion using cinematic techniques such as camera movement, light, and composition. A bit difficult, so people did not attempt it this. Then there was another option, attempt any two out of the following five options, each carrying 10 marks. So that was much easier. What are the factors that influence depth of field and how does it affect the image? So all the four factors you need to discuss. Explain large format cinematography. Again, easier. Discuss the advantage and disadvantage of DSLR over mirrorless camera. Again, a easy question. What makes the below picture iconic? Describe the element of composition. Again, it was a easier question. So you have to shoot a romantic song on the terrace of a building. How would you shoot it without using artificial light, relying only the available ambient light or any other natural sources? So this was the question paper, and we tried to be as close as to the question, but we do not guarantee the exactness of language, etc. So thank you very much, gentlemen, to listening to us. Goodbye.